Hello everyone, welcome to this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. It's great to have you on the channel today. We're going to be talking about the tropics and the threat of snow. Yeah, we have a dual side. We're switching slowly to winter mode, but I do want to let my tropical viewers, I do let tropical updates go through the entire winter season, so I am not ever going to forget you. We are going to continue tropical updates all the way through the winter. I do that all year round, and we're going to look at snow outlooks as well. We actually have some chances of snow with some coastal storms and Alberta Clippers during the next couple weeks. Are the tropics dead, or do we still have a couple tropical waves to bear watching? Let's get into it. And here we are with the tropics, starting off with our GFS, and then I'll show you the European model momentarily. Hopefully we can keep the relief efforts here in Jamaica going. Seems pretty clear for the first part of the week, which is good. Honduras and Belize up through the Cayman Islands, that's where you're going to see the heavier showers kick in. You see this frontal boundary across the southern Gulf, South Florida, northern Bahamas. We do have something that tries to spin up a little bit here into the south central eastern Gulf, but not too much here. So, you know, the Gulf has been pretty protected most of the season here, and it's going to continue, I think. Now, as we continue through the 6th into the 7th, you can see it looks pretty quiet. Some scattered showers here across the southern Caribbean. One notable area is right around Trinidad, Tobago as we stretch through the 7th into the 8th here. We have a tropical wave moving through, heavier rains moving northward towards Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Grenada. These areas might end up here in St. Croix and Puerto Rico as well. Dominican Republic, some heavier showers. And these start to push towards Jamaica, Haiti area right around the 11th into the 12th. Now, we do have a tropical wave moving through Nicaragua here, Honduras. This is going to bring us some very heavy rain. You can see this tail end of this front. It's got a little bit of a tropical connection from the eastern Pacific, but here it is. North of this, the air mass is noticeably different, a lot less humid. South of it, that's where we got the tropical moisture lining up. Now, as you can see through the 14th, we got this big tropical wave lining up here north of Panama, east of Nicaragua, Costa Rica area. And that frontal boundary, according to the GFS, makes it all the way south towards Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Puerto Rico, central Yucatan Peninsula here. Just north of Belize. So watch out. Yeah, this looks like by the 18th, we start to see more of a westerly flow through the Caribbean. This could be a signal that tropical season is shutting down. As we look at the European model here, thanks to Tropical Tidbits, you can see there is a couple tropical wave areas, moisture stalled out here, Central America, Honduras, up through the Bahamas, Cayman Islands as well. We're going to continue to watch this tropical wave in the southern Caribbean, kind of try to spin up here south of Jamaica. Let's hope it stays. It looks like it's going to stay south of Jamaica at this point. We'll continue to watch it here as it moves into the northwest Caribbean. We also have another tropical wave moving through Trinidad, Tobago area around Wednesday, November 5th here. You can see that this one propagates towards Cancun. We see several areas of heavy showers from Jamaica, Haiti, through Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. So it's still staying pretty active here as far as tropical wave action. We get another tropical wave here towards Friday, November 7th. You can see in this one here into the northwest Caribbean. We'll continue to watch these for any potential development. It looks like chances of development's low until, look at this, right around Sunday, November 9th, next Sunday. This is a strong tropical wave that moves right towards Dominican Republic and unfortunately Jamaica here through the 11th into the 12th. This is on its way to Honduras with more heavy rains. We'll go over those rainfall amounts momentarily here, but ultimately you can see the stalled frontal boundary. It's going to pretty much protect the Gulf, as has been the case most of this hurricane season. And you can see we get these flare-ups. We have a few tropical waves through November 15th here just south of Jamaica. So far, the Euro is not grabbing onto anything, which is some very good news. And looking at sea surface temperature analysis here, you can see, the Gulf is really on fire here. You can see that cool spot here around Jamaica, Haiti, and eastern Cuba through the Bahamas. That's an upwelling that occurred with Melissa. But we still are running above average here across the Caribbean and much of the MDR as well. And looking at our GFS run here for tropical rainfall amounts, look at the north coast of Honduras there. That's where you're going to really be picking up a lot. South Central Gulf as well. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on this. It is, thankfully, Jamaica is missing out on a lot of this. Eastern parts of Dominican Republic, that's where you're going to get close to 75, 85, 90 millimeters. Parts of eastern Puerto Rico, St. Croix area, watch out. You could see upwards of 2.5 to 4 inches with some of these tropical waves. But it's Central America I'm very concerned about here in particular. Most of the North Central Caribbean islands eking out 60 to some areas close to 100 millimeters. Look at eastern, northeastern parts of Jamaica. I'm a little concerned about that as well. Portland Parish in particular, 161 millimeters here. North coast, northeast coast of Dominican Republic, upwards of 150 millimeters. Eastern Puerto Rico as well. Now look at eastern Belize down through northern Honduras. Some of these areas could be approaching 400 to 500 millimeters down and through parts of eastern Nicaragua and Costa Rica as well. Dominican Republic over to Cayman Islands, right around 90 to 100 millimeters on average. And stretching across the Western Caribbean here, yeah, it's Central America. Thankfully, Jamaica's in a rain hole there. Most areas only getting upwards of 40, maybe 60 millimeters at most on the Euro here. That's some good news. Keep those amounts low with the relief efforts. But look at Central America here. Northern coastline of Honduras, close to 300 millimeters. Eastern Belize, 175 to 225. And more down here through parts of Nicaragua and Costa Rica as well, closer to 300 millimeters. All right, so looking at the GFS here into the Eastern Caribbean. As we go through time here, ultimately you can see what's going to be happening. Yeah, our maps are really having, I don't know what's going on with our map service here, but there we go. We skip to the end. You can see rainfall amounts through the Trinidad Tobago area, 145, 150 millimeters up the island chains here, St. Lucia, all the way up to the Southern Virgin Islands. We could be seeing amounts close to 150, 175 millimeters as well. So yeah, we still have a lot of tropical waves here to watch. Looking at the dry air analysis here, thanks to Tropical Tidbits on our European model, you can see lots of dry air flowing into the Eastern Caribbean, moist air here, Central and Western Caribbean through Tuesday into Wednesday. This dry air is going to really help us out through midweek here. You can see the moisture pushing up across the Bahamas, kind of shutting moisture down a little bit here into Jamaica, Hispaniola area. But look at this. You can see where the tropical waves are going to lie here. And the one thing that's going to be notable over the next couple weeks is the amount of dry air that's going to flow into the Caribbean. This is actually some very good news. This may help to shut down the tropical wave train here, so to speak, eventually. Wanted to show you the wind shear analysis as well. Initially, we see very little to no wind shear across the parts of the Eastern Caribbean, Central Caribbean. You see how sheltered it is. But then we do start to see Eastern Caribbean. We're under the gun here for wind shear, even the Northwestern Caribbean as we stretch through Sunday the 9th here. You still see a little bit of shelterness here in the Central and Eastern Caribbean with very little wind shear through the 11th into the 12th. So we'll watch any of these tropical waves. They may have a small window of opportunity to develop. All right, so our ERRR future radar here. Let's see what we got going on. As we stretch through the rest of your Sunday, yeah, we're actually going to be looking at showers and thunderstorms just off the coast of Florida here, maybe some areas, coastal areas. But look at eastern North Carolina as we head overnight tonight into early Monday morning. Yeah, it's going to be a washout here, some heavier rain. We'll go over those rainfall amounts momentarily, but look it up towards Delmarva as well. The heaviest rain looks to be in eastern North Carolina, southeastern Virginia here through 7 a.m. That does push off the coast, gives you a pretty decent day shaping up. But look it up here across the Northeast. We do have another storm system. This is actually a separate one moving through upstate New York. We do get the chance of some heavier showers or maybe even a line of thunder showers here through Binghamton, Utica area, up through the Adirondacks. That pushes southward and eastward into the Catskills, Poconos, and upper Hudson Valley here. A few cells could contain, some strong gusty winds to 45 miles per hour, maybe even some small hail. That moves up towards the Northeast into New Brunswick and high pressure building in with South Florida, the only area where the front hasn't cleared. Picking up where our future radar left off here on the GFS model, and then I'll show you the Euro. Yeah, this coastal moving off the coast here. As we stretch through Tuesday, you can see there it is. Pretty progressive here on the GFS. Really going to be a thing for Southeast Canada here. And then as we continue through time, I actually want to flip over to our precipitation depiction, because we're going to start getting into some wintry type conditions here. You can see up towards the Northeast on the backside of this Alberta Clipper style system that tries to go coastal. Mountain snow up towards the Adirondacks, white and green mountains. High pressure cresting overhead to the east here. We'll continue to watch this next system. Heavier rain, some gusty winds towards the 7th, moving through Ohio, New York, Pennsylvania, down in through the Appalachians, and eventually the East Coast towards the 7th, later the 7th into the 8th, as a wave of low pressure tries to ride along it here. Look at this. This is actually snowfall here. This is the 9th. So next Sunday, Northeast Ohio, Cleveland, Erie, Pittsburgh area. Yeah, and then look at on the northwest side of this area of low pressure. GFS hinting at some heavy wet snow from Philadelphia through eastern and central northern New Jersey, New York City, up through parts of southeastern New England. So, and look at this lake effect streamer. So yeah, we're going to really start off getting some white stuff here before Thanksgiving. This is kind of crazy, and we just have one of these right after another. The 12th, another burst of heavier snow moving through the interior northeast here as these stretch and crest off the coast, high pressure building in behind it. This next system towards the 17th looks a bit warmer, pushing a lot of heavier precipitation, looks like rain and thunderstorms up into parts of the mid-Atlantic. And this one tries to go coastal throughout the northeast, but it has a lot of warm air to work with. If we look at the European model, picking up where our future radar left off, as we continue through Tuesday into Wednesday, look at high pressure is pretty much in control. We do have this Alberta Clipper style system moving through the Great Lakes. It does push a sharp area through Thursday. This is going to be the push of that cooler air. Watch out the Adirondacks, northern White Green Mountains. You could get some snow behind this. Tries to go coastal here in the Gulf of Maine towards Nova Scotia. High pressure quickly building in for next weekend, Friday. It doesn't last long, though. Look at this. Another area moving through Ohio. Some beneficial rain into western New York, western Pennsylvania, Friday night into Saturday. That push it. Look how fast these systems move. Another Alberta Clipper-style system into Sunday, the 9th. Yeah, unfortunately, this looks like a pretty crazy weekend here for parts of the Great Lakes, Northeast Ohio Valley area. And now look at that trough really take over here. You're going to start to see some snowflakes down into parts of the Appalachians as this coastal low blasts up through the Canadian Maritimes. As we head through the 11th and 12th, high pressures cresting off the coastline here. We're going to continue to watch this low. Euro is going all in on a massive blizzard here across the northern plains. Actually pushed severe weather into parts of the Ohio Valley, eastern Great Lakes, down and through the Gulf Coast. Rainfall amounts here on our European run. As you can see, we go through time here. You can ultimately see what's going to be happening. It is a dry start, but then we do start to get initially the Outer Banks getting 1 to 2 inches out of this storm Sunday night and early Monday morning. But look at the trend is stormier across the east. Many areas getting 1.5 inches, close to 2 plus 2.5 inches of rain, especially here into the reds and closer to the yellows. All right, so let's take a look at our snowfall here on our European model here. Just a little bit here into upstate New York, northern New England. Especially the mountains, Adirondacks, White and Green Mountains, stretch through the, look at some lake effect there in northeast Ohio, northwestern Pennsylvania, western New York, south of Buffalo, and the northern plains getting that potential for big blizzards. Some areas close to a foot from central Nebraska, eastern Dakotas up to northern Minnesota. Here across off Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, we'll see about 1 to 3 inches of the slushy accumulation here south of Syracuse as well. Look at northern New England, though. Some areas close to 6 inch plus. And here we go for snowfall amounts on the GFS model. As we crank this through, you can see northern New England through Friday, picking up some here. Look at the Adirondacks through Monday, the 10th, and then that system across parts of the Mid-Atlantic. Could we have some early snow setting up here? Well, it's a stretch, but GFS is kind of going with South Jersey here around 7 inches with 2 to 4 inch amounts arcing towards New York City. Look at northwestern Pennsylvania, 6, 7, 8 inches, extreme northeast Ohio there towards Cleveland, around 5 inches. We'll have to keep an eye on this. Colder times are ahead. And Derek Renschuler from Lebanon County, Pennsylvania, is in Mount Gretna, PA here. Look at this, Pennsylvania. You got this going on with the fall foliage. This is his peak time, and you can see just a beautiful day to be had here. If you can get out there and enjoy the fall foliage, look how, yeah, I would be happy too. Look how beautiful it is there. Nice capture of you there, Derek. It's just looking nice and amazing across the area. With this kind of low sun angle, you get that glowing effect, those oranges, those yellows. Look at that nice little bridge over a nice little creek, it looks like there. And look at this. You got a lot fallen, but you still have a lot on the trees, and you kind of get that contrast between the green areas and the orangish and reds and the yellows going on. So just really nice. You know, this time of year is just so beautiful. It's unfortunate it doesn't last longer, but get out there and enjoy it while you can. And it sure looks like Derek has gotten out there to really enjoy it as well. I have been as well. I'm going to get more of my fall foliage photos out in the coming days on all my video updates, so please stay tuned for that. But look at this, just beautiful. He's got a lot of oranges across the area here. And just, you know, there's still some green left too, but that really creates that nice contrast here. Just very beautiful lighting this day too that he took these photos. And this was back on October 29th, by the way. So just looking really nice across the area. Mount Gretna, Pennsylvania, Lebanon County. Look at all those oranges. Beautiful tree that looks like it's literally on fire with color here. You got a little bit of blue sky back there with some beautiful clouds as well. But yeah, just looking wonderful across the area. Look at all that glow. Nice captures there, Derek. And John sending in his photos here from Bayshore, New York. Look at this storm damage going on. Quite a bit in the way of, looks like, some big time wind damage, taking down some trees and some power lines here. This looks like it was serious stuff, as it was extremely windy across these areas, especially in this past Friday. So yeah, it was just, look at that. It even fell on the house here. So yeah, this was a scene. There it is on a fence as well. So yeah, it looks like this was the scene across much of the Northeast corridor here. And it was a really stormy day to be had. Even non-thunderstorm wind gusts were just crazy. We had those wind advisories, high wind warnings as well. So nice captures there, John, capturing the essence of a very stormy past Friday here, October 31st. Nice captures. Before we continue with more weather coverage, don't forget, if you made it this far in the video and you like it, please smash that like button, everyone. It really does help, gets the weather word out, gets this video more exposure. Question or comment down below. I love to read and respond to your questions or comments. And don't forget, subscribe, bell notification button, so you're alerted with all my future weather video updates. I am working on the final touches of my winter 2025-2026 outlook, so be sure to check that out. Let's continue with more weather coverage. Looking at our NAO index here, yeah, we're actually trending a little slightly positive here, and then we'll kind of meander around neutral through the end of November. So we look for our MJO index here. Yeah, look at this. We're right in phase, borderline between phase 5 and 6, and we're going to kind of meander in that pattern. There is a little bit of hint towards the end of November. We may try to move a little bit more towards active into phase 7. Looking at our European upper air anomalies here. Yeah, that East Coast trough lifting out by midweek here. The ridge trying to build in, but look at these troughs around the upper part of this. This is where Eastern Canada gets out of their big ridge mode and into these series of troughs that line up with the Northeast. We're going to be flip-flopping back and forth between ridges and troughs. This one in particular, mid to latter part of next weekend, bears watching. This might actually spin off a big coastal low with maybe some interior snowfall here, and we're going to watch out as a very active pattern gets cranking out west. That would push the ridge up back east here. Look at the blocking up here in Greenland. That would signify maybe some blocking with some of these storms. We'll keep an eye on it. Out here into the Western Pacific, tropical storm Kalamagai here. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting system as it approaches the Philippines over the next couple days, the 3rd into the 4th. It becomes a typhoon, category 2 potentially, before making landfall here right across the central Philippines. Watch out. This is going to pack a punch. It doesn't look like it becomes a super typhoon, but it may try to achieve it here over on the other side of the Philippines as we head towards November 5th into the 6th. It becomes a category 3, maybe a category 4 as it moves towards Vietnam. Then we get another typhoon trying to develop here. Watch out. These are going to kind of come out of nowhere. This one may target the northern Philippines as we head through November 9th into the 10th. So very active time for the Philippines here. This is not unheard of for November. We can get some pretty big storms, and this one continuing to move towards South China as we head towards the 13th into the 14th. Now, as we take the northern parts of the Pacific, it looks pretty quiet across South Korea and Japan through the next half week here until we get later on this week, we get a storm system moving through South Korea and Japan. This is synoptic, no tropical here, but there we go. We'll get into rainfall amounts momentarily, but all the rainfall is really going to be confined here to South Asia and the Philippine Islands. Look at this through the 13th. Another big storm system moving through Japan and South Korea, but then really high pressure crusting in across much of the eastern Asian continent here. So we're looking here into the Western Pacific. Rainfall amounts are going to be tremendous from the central Philippines through Vietnam here with our potential typhoon here. Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to watch this unfold. Some of these areas you can see getting close to 3 to as much as 500 millimeters in some of these locations. Up towards parts of South Korea and Japan, a little bit dry, especially South Korea, very dry, so almost nothing here. Look at parts of northern Japan, though. You're eking out close to 100 millimeters here. And looking at our Canadian weather outlook here, snow is going to be the name of the game. The mountains, British Columbia, western British Columbia, up through northern Ontario and Quebec. Yeah, you get some of the white stuff as far south as Quebec City, Montreal, some wet snow mixing in. Look at Newfoundland here. You get to have some wet snow on the backside of this major low-pressure system. Then it gets a little bit quiet except for Hudson Bay up here, and then we get a surge here into southern British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, heavy snow breaking out. Look at southern Ontario as well through the 6th into the 7th here. Yeah, this is going to be a thing, heavy wet snow. We'll go over those snowfall amounts momentarily here, but yeah, we're getting an early start. Northern New Brunswick here. Some heavy snow mixing in as well. And then you can see these systems diving south across Ontario and Quebec. Yeah, snow. It's a really cold here up here in Canada. This time of year, and we are really lining up the snow. Look at this, southern Ontario and Quebec, New Brunswick, the backside of the system up into the Canadian Maritimes. Watch out, some heavy wet snow. The 11th into the 12th as this snowfall breaks out across southern Ontario and Quebec and New Brunswick as well. Following these systems back here, gets kind of quiet across the prairies through the mid part of the month. A surge of warm air here into southern Ontario and Quebec keeps the snow further north, as you can see. British Columbia is still getting hit with these Pacific systems. But watch out, Manitoba, right around the 17th and 18th, a big burst of heavy snow. And Canadian rainfall amounts here, liquid equivalent. We're looking pretty interesting here across Canada. Unfortunately, our maps just don't want to load very fast today, as usual. Hopefully, there we go. So the west coast of Canada, you can see these areas getting close to 150, 250 millimeters. And then southeast Canada, look at 60 to 80, close to 100 millimeters, especially over here towards southern New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland here. We take a look at wintry conditions starting out here. Look at this. And then, yeah, the maps don't want to load very nicely. But there we go. Just switch to the end. West Coast, British Columbia. Some of these areas upwards of 75 to 100 centimeters. Parts of Western Ontario, eastern parts of the prairie regions getting upwards of, look at this down here, close to 13 to as much as 25, 30 centimeters in some of these areas of snowfall here. Parts of central northern Quebec as well. Look at Newfoundland over here. Some of these areas getting closer to 60, 70 centimeters. And look at the temperatures here. This is the big story. Look at this 50s and even some 60s here into the northeast. 60s down into parts of the deep south. 70s along the Gulf Coast Monday. Into Tuesday the 4th. Yeah, warming trend across the plains into the 70s. Into Wednesday, you see that pivots to the east here. 60s getting into the Ohio Valley, mid-Atlantic region, 70s across the Gulf Coast states. And watch this, as we head on into Thursday, we see this cooler air spilling down across the Great Lakes and the Northeast, upper 40s for highs into northern New England, northern New York. And then look at that, push of warm air again into the Ohio Valley into the 60s. And watch this for Saturday, November 8th. We see a cold push. This is going to be the start of possible wintertime. The extended forecast from our hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton, Upper Susquehanna, River Valley, New York, and Pennsylvania. It's going to be really windy, gusts up to 25, 30 miles per hour on Monday. A chance of a shower, but mostly sunny. It will be warm, lower 60s after a cool start. But look at this, Tuesday, sunny skies as well, upper 50s. You can't complain about that. We'll have some scattered showers Wednesday. Thursday moving in, more clouds on Friday as we get some showers moving in Friday night. Look at how much cooler later in the week is. Upper 40s by Thursday. Plenty more weather to come. Here is a look at my affiliate. Check out these awesome, amazing maps. I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code. As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget, it's MeteoMark.com. And don't forget, if you want to send me a coffee, there is a link, super thanks. You can smash that super thanks button or my PayPal link in the description down below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks everyone. Share that video, subscribe if you haven't, smash that like button.